Our first scripture reading is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verses 1 through 4. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the oppressed, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and release to the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to provide for those who mourn in Zion, to give them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit. They will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, to display his glory. They shall build up the ancient ruins. They shall raise up the former devastations. They shall repair the ruined cities, the devastations of many generations. Please remain seated and join in singing Now the Green Blade Rises. It's number 311, verses 1 and 4.
Our second reading this morning comes from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples he has been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. That is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings!" And they came to him and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." This is the word of God.
Thanks be to God.
Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed.
And despite the yelling and all the lilies and the daffodils, I feel like it's just a little bit more difficult this year to get to Easter. There can always be a challenge, a leap of faith, if you will, to declare that Christ has been raised from the dead, that love and mercy and forgiveness and light have blotted out sin and hatred and death. This year it feels extra challenging. We lost our dear friend, father, grandfather, and husband Bob Malcolmson this week. And like the community that surrounded Jesus, like those women who sat mourning at the foot of the cross, we are stunned. How are we supposed to make the jump, the shift from the grief of yesterday's funeral to the celebration of today's Alleluia? Of course, it's not just that we lost our friend this week, right? It's myriad other things that keep us from the joy and hope of this day. It's the fears about our health, tests and biopsies and impending surgeries. It's worries about money. Will there ever be enough? It's the Sisyphean slog through depression and anxiety. It's the concern we have for our families, those who live far away and we can't be there to help them, and those who are close at hand and we want to do right by them. It's the explosion of bigotry and hatred in our communities and our country. It's gun violence in American schools and persecution in the Anglophone Cameroon. It's the uncertainty of searching for a new job. It's the weight of grief and loss. It's the deepest questions that stick in our guts. Will I ever be happy? Am I good enough? I can't help but wonder if we, sitting where we are now, carrying fresh grief and the well-worn anxieties of our daily lives if we are specially prepared to experience the Easter story this morning. The two Marys who go to the tomb in Matthew's Gospel, going to find out what state the body is in, to see if it's been properly prepared for burial, they may have gone that morning with the same kind of heaviness in their hearts. I wonder if they were just kind of going through the motions, the way that we do, the way we like to be occupied, to have a task when grief strikes. I don't know, but I feel more in common with them today than with earthquakes or angels. The community to whom Isaiah is writing, in the verses that Melanie just read for us, is in a similar situation. They have been bearing grief and pain for too long. God's people have been conquered by the Babylonian army, whose kind of modus operandi when they occupied another country was to deport all the people who controlled the institutions and had any influence. The priests, the government officials, people who ran businesses, they were all marched away from the place where they had their lives. After, of course, first watching their livelihoods and their homes and their temple be destroyed. Well, in exile in Babylon, the people began to wonder, understandably so, if perhaps God had abandoned them. Maybe God had given up on them. Maybe they weren't worth saving. Maybe that's why this had happened. And as they fell deep into despair and grief, these are the words that God sends to them. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because God has anointed me, sent me to bring good news to the oppressed, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and release to the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to provide for those who mourn in Zion, to give them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit. They will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord to display God's glory. They shall build up the ancient ruins. They shall raise up the former devastations. They shall repair the ruined cities, devastations of many generations. These words of God to God's people are so powerful that Jesus chooses them when he begins his ministry. Do you remember? And he almost gets run off a cliff. And even though they are thousands of years old, these words of God to God's people still move something deep within us. We find ourselves wondering where hope will come from or what will happen next. There's this toy from my childhood I've been thinking about this week. I've been assured by Daniel that although they are considered old, they are still played with. They'd be a truck or a car or something, but if you moved the parts around just right, it became a robot. Yeah, children of the 80s, where are you? Transformers, robots in the sky. The cool thing about Transformers was that they were like two toys in one, right? It wasn't just that you had a car or a truck and then you had a robot, one or the other. It was both of them together, robots in disguise. I think, stay with me, I think what makes Isaiah's words feel so powerful, so hopeful, is exactly that ability to hold these two realities together at once. Because there's no repairing ruined cities without first having the ruined cities to repair, right? In Isaiah's beautiful vision of restoration, our mess is not only present, it's at the center of God's creative work of resurrection. The brokenhearted, the oppressed, the captive, prisoners, those who mourn and grow faint, us, right? It's us. We are right there in the middle of it all. It's not that one day there was a ruined city and the next day there was a brand new shopping mall, but that the ruins of the old became the foundation for something new. It's not that we live either in the grief of yesterday's funeral or the joy of today's alleluias, but that we find in the very places of our pain the possibility for hope and new life. Last week, those of you who were here for church did a very brave thing. You took a pen and a strip of paper like this, and you wrote down on it your fears and pains, your worries and griefs. You looked deep inside, didn't flinch, shed light into those dusty corners of your souls. And then we left them here at the foot of the cross with Jesus, who we trusted to carry them. This morning, those paper strips are back again. They're still here. Did you notice them? Did you see them? Where are they?
In the flowers.
Yeah, they're in the middle of those flowers on the cross. They've been transformed, if you will. Now, all the things we wrote down in the papers are still there, right? They're not solved, even a little bit. But they're beginning to be made beautiful. Those places, the places that we fear the most because of the pain they carry, are the very places where transformation begins to take shape, where resurrection happens. It's significant that twice in the Easter story today, the two Marys are told, do not fear. They're not told, quit your pain, or leave your despair behind, or start rejoicing, or don't be sad, or don't worry, or don't doubt. They're told, don't fear. I wonder if transformation, if healing doesn't happen in our lives as much as it could because of fear. Because of the places we have to go to in order for it to begin. It's not comfortable to sit with grief or uncertainty or pain, but if we can take courage to face them, maybe to share them, that's exactly the place where resurrection is happening. That is where new life is springing up, where healing can begin. That is where possibilities can unfold. So this Easter Sunday, we shout, Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed.
And it is such a ridiculous, fantastical, wonderful thing that we believe. With the same defiance and confidence, let's learn to shout, the brokenhearted will be bound up. The brokenhearted will be bound up indeed. The prisoners shall be released.
The prisoners shall be released indeed.
The ancient ruins will be repaired.
The ancient ruins will be repaired indeed.
And perhaps most boldly, we proclaim, those who mourn will be comforted.
Those who mourn will be comforted indeed.
May our transformation begin. Instead of singing, we had a chance to sing this song, Because You Live, O Christ, yesterday. There is a song, so first we had the Transformers commercial from my childhood. Now we're going to have the Crystal Lewis hit of 1996 that I asked Jim and Stephanie at the last minute if they could pull together, because I think it says something to us where we are at this moment. So friends, let's enjoy a special musical offering.